Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the February Planning Committee meeting. Can I have any apologies for absence, please? Thank you very much. Are there any others I need to be aware of? Declarations of interest or lobbying of members or unaccompanied site visits. Any declarations that anybody wishes to make? No. Thank you. Minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 6th of January. Now take them as a true record, please. Yes. Thank you. Is that seconded? May I see all those in favour? Thank you. And any matters arising from page 1? Page 2. Page 3. Do you want to just note any developments on those deferred applications, Mr. White?
Yeah, Chairman, the West Hollicombe application, we have a meeting tomorrow with the agent and applicant to look at some, or discuss some slightly amended plans, so that will no doubt progress much more tomorrow. Hownell Lane, Joe's had communication with the agent, and we're expecting an amended description and amended plans, hopefully this week.
I would hope so, yeah. It's not
Let's move that forward.
When it was put. Thank you. So those are both progressing. And finally, page 4. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes.
The Holcombe Lane one. If agreement is reached with regard to the outstanding issue, Hownell Lane, need it now to come back to committee?
I think sense was it probably would have to come back to committee, but we'll know more in due course.
Okay, thank you.
It's always good to know when one gives the right answer, isn't it? Right, item 4. I'm not aware of any business of urgency, and we have no public speakers that have registered to speak this afternoon. So, item 6, appeal decisions. Decision of Secretary of State to allow the appeal at Valley View, Paraton. Mr. White.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a slide just to help us with this one. So, the appeal in this case was actually in relation to the refusal of a permission to vary a condition of the Planning Commission. The condition in question was that the windows and doors in this building here were to be replaced with timber. That was the focus of the appeal, obviously. The context of the site is, or the context proposed is that the site lies in the Paraton Conservation Area, again in the Churchtown part of Paraton. It's not that easy necessarily to get your bearings on the plan here, but actually a good reference on the Church Lane. So the Linton Barton Railway would have originally come through here. The church is slightly off that plan, but the property we're talking about is this property here. The building is actually at the back of the plot. Planning permission has been granted for the use of that building as an annex to the dwelling. It was granted retrospectively, and the works to do the windows have been carried out already. That's why the UPVC windows are in there. So officers were happy with the scheme, other than the fact that it had UPVC in it within the conservation area, and obviously with the policy approach and the local plan, we didn't feel we could support it. The inspectors picked that up through the appeal, obviously identifying the main issue, which ultimately in this case is a character and appearance issue, i.e., would it have an acceptable impact on the character and appearance of the conservation area. It's one that I guess we find ourselves debating here in terms of appropriateness of materials from time to time, so it is an interesting decision in that sense. But the inspector in this case, contrary to the view of officers, has actually found that the scheme with UPVC is acceptable. I think paragraph 11 is particularly important in the decision, because that sets out clearly the basis on which the inspector found it acceptable. And it's more to do with the fairly sort of plain and simple appearance of the building. I think crucially, that actually, in terms of the wider setting or context area, the building isn't visible. So the inspector felt in this case actually it would be okay to keep UPVC in the property. Okay.
Yes, thank you. So, in terms of the context, the inspector was quite happy. Any reflection on the actual use of UPVC as a material per se?
Per se?
Sustainability.
No. Well, no. I mean, the sustainability is this not part of the argument in this case. It purely comes down to a character appearance issue. I mean, I think we're clear on what the policy approach is. The inspectors accepted that. But it's each on its own merits, and in this case, when dealing with the character and appearance as the issue, the inspector was happy that actually it made little to no difference having that building at the back of a plot with plastic windows in it. It's relevant, obviously, if the property is the main dwelling itself is fairly heavily covered with UPVC already. So.
Right. Thank you very much. Any questions or points? No? Right, thank you. You looked as though you were constraining yourself, Mrs. Robertson. Item 7 then, development management, and this is an update report. You will remember that we deferred this item at a previous planning committee and asked for it to be brought back at the earliest possible opportunity. So this is proposed conversion of existing double garage and storage areas into one bedroom ancillary accommodation with single garage at Allendale, Pixton Park, Dulverton. Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll briefly summarise the key elements of the application as I did back in December as a bit of a refresher for members, but obviously in a more condensed form, and I'll highlight the main amendments as I go through this presentation. So here's the location plan. The property sits in a relatively isolated position at around 200 metres east of the main built-up area of Dulverton. It's surrounded by countryside with Pixton Park immediately to the east and south. So here are the existing site plans showing the main dwelling to the east with a garage building which is proposed to be converted located to the west. So here are the existing floor plans and elevations. And here are the recently amended proposed floor plans and elevations with the earlier plans that were previously proposed shown on the right-hand side of this slide. So for members' benefit, I've outlined on this slide the key changes now proposed compared to the existing building. The openings highlighted in red on this plan indicate entirely new fenestration and detailing that don't currently exist on the building, whereas the openings highlighted in yellow show where existing fenestration would be altered in terms of its size and design. Any openings that are not highlighted at all would obviously remain unchanged. The most notable changes are the inclusion of a new window on the west elevation, the insertion of 2 new windows and a domestic style door on the south elevation, and the replacement of the 2 existing garage doors on the north elevation with more domestic style bifolding doors. Officers acknowledge that the revised design does not represent an ideal or particularly strong architectural response. However, it's material that the existing building would now remain largely unchanged, with no increase in footprint or overall height. In practical terms, officers consider that the proposal would at worst result in a neutral impact compared with what is currently existing on the site, both in relationship to the host dwelling and its wider landscape setting. So here are some photographs of the site. The first image showing the relationship between the main dwelling and the outbuilding to be converted. The second showing the building to be converted, and the third showing a view from that building facing north, and you can just about see the edge of the main dwelling on the right hand side of that photograph, which is sort of just here. So the key considerations in this case relate to the principle of the development, the impact on character and appearance, neighbouring amenity and ecology and biodiversity as set out within my reports. Officers no longer consider that there are sufficient planning grounds to refuse the scheme on matters of scale, massing and subservience, as was previously the case. Taking all these matters into account, officers now consider that the amended scheme is acceptable on balance and therefore recommend that planning permission can be granted subject to the conditions outlined within my updated report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rose. Are there any member comments? Yes, Mr. Rose.
Just a brief one. I'm sorry to catch up, but when did the amended report come out?
It was in the papers.
Because the paper I downloaded from Teams yesterday recommended refusal.
That was the last one.
That was in the current Teams folder,
Yes,
in the planning committee folder.
It follows on from the update report, so if you go to the end to look at the recommendation, which is what I did too,
Right.
you get the old one, not the new one.
Apologies. Right. Okay. Just clarification.
Okay. Anything else, Mrs. Nicholson?
I wanted to just to say how grateful I am for the amount of hard work that's gone into this.
Yes, so just to clarify, the original paper conclusion was on page 23. That's the page that you need to look at, is page 8.
I got it wrong too.
Okay. Apologies.
Okay. Page 8 to 10 really, for the recommendation of the conditions. Okay.
Well, it's a very modest building. It's never going to, whatever scheme is going to be put forward, it's not going to win the Sterling Award for Architecture, I guess. But I think this does make a more coherent conversion, so I'd be quite happy to propose that we approve the scheme.
Thank you. Is that seconded by Mrs. Nicholson? Is there any other member debate? If not, may I see all those in favour? That's Parson M. Collins. Thank you very much. And that's a good example of further negotiation producing a better outcome. So it's encouraging, isn't it? Thank you very much, Mr. Rich. So, item 8 is application decisions delegated to the Chief Executive. Now, I think this is pretty much a clean sheet of approvals, but we will nevertheless go through them as usual because they are always instructive. So, may I begin with item 8, page 1. And I'm sure Mr. White will jump in if there's anything to which he wishes to draw our attention specifically. One on the farm, I notice, further up from the bottom on page 1. Upgrading of the mast. Okay. Page 2. And page 3. Everybody content? Good, thank you. So, item 9 is site visits, and to arrange any site visits agreed by the committee. Well, I don't know that we necessarily have any in the offing. Nevertheless, should there be any, the reserve date is Friday the 27th of February in the morning. That concludes the agenda of business of the meeting. Mr. White, have you got anything else that you need to draw to our attention?
No, thank you.
You sure? Yeah. Right. In that case, ladies and gentlemen, we will pause. I suggest that we reconvene for PPAG at 2 o'clock. I'll declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much.